What do we got here?
I got a gold bar I want you to look at.
All right. Oh, wow. Hey, Pops. You want to come look at this?
Where in the world did you get this?
Grandma just passed away a few months ago. We were cleaning things out, and we found this thing.
Did Grandpa happen to be a jewelry store robber or anything? Or?
I came to the pawn shop today to see if I could sell my old gold bar. This bar kind of really surprised us. I never really heard about it, and nobody else had, so I thought we got to go get this looked at and see what it's worth. Maybe I'd sell it, get some money, and split that up among the family members.
What do you think, Pops?
It's gold. It's a big chunk of gold. You got approximately $24,000 worth of gold here.
Wow.
When you've been a pawnbroker as long as I have, you know real gold when you see it. And judging by the weight of it, there's a lot of it. Before 1971, it was against the law to own this. You weren't allowed to have more than, I think, 5 ounces of gold in your house, period. It was a federal offense.
It was called the Gold Confiscation Act. FDR, in the Depression, bought all the gold off everybody in the United States for $20 an ounce. And it was up until the 70s when Nixon took us off the gold standard that we were allowed to own gold again.
There was a lot of people in this country who hid it because they didn't want the government taking it away. During the Depression, FDR made it illegal to own gold. You could own a little bit of jewelry, a little bit of coins, that was it. The reason he did this is he wanted to devaluate the value of the dollar, hoping that would spur the economy along. The weird thing about it is the markings on it right here. What the XX means, I have no idea.
So what's the deal with this white stuff on there?
Sometimes they cast this in a mold, it's called investment. It's like plaster of Paris, but different. And you'll have crustaceans like this in it, but it'll flake right out with your fingernail. And this feels like it's actually like coral or something. I mean, it looks like shipwreck stuff, to tell you the truth.
You mean like buried treasure?
It could be, yeah. Was your grandfather a diver or anything like that?
I don't know if he was or not. He was down in the Caribbean for a while, and I don't know if he came across something there he didn't ever tell anybody about.
I buy gold from people every day, but I never have gold bars from a shipwreck walk into my shop. This thing might not be worth its weight in gold. It might be worth way more. So what did you want to do with this? You want to sell it?
Yeah, I want to sell it.
I would like someone to take a look at it. This could be off a ship just because of this right here. So I'll find out if it's treasure for you.
That'd be great. Okay. Thanks.
I'm president of Big Blue Wreck Salvage and a marine artifact expert. I'm passionate about the pursuit of history and information. Well, what are your concerns, Rick?
What the XX means, I have no idea. And it looks like there's some crustacean on the back of it that's not from casting.
Well, what you've got here are the fineness markings. These particular stamps I recognize from the 1500s. And even at that time, gold was evaluated on a 24 scale. It's marked as 20 karat.
I could see with my own 2 eyes that that's more gold than 20 karat.
Well, they had taxes in the 1540s and 1550s also. So if you can get it marked for less, you can avoid some of those taxes.
I think it's pretty funny that even back in the 1500s, people were trying to cheat on their taxes.
Modern testing would bring this in at probably 22 or better.
Okay. So you think it's off a ship?
Well, what you have is definitely coral incrustation. Coral will attach itself to something harder to grow.
Okay.
It would have taken, decades to have attached itself. This thing was underwater for a long time. And this is definitely shipwreck treasure.
Okay.
Sweet.
There are 2 sites that have yielded bars of this type. One is from the coast of Texas. The 1554 Spanish fleet was wrecked there. And there's a site in the northern Caribbean.
So how much do you think it's worth?
Melt times 2 is what you're talking about.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Remember earlier when I said $24,000 in scrap?
Yeah.
Scrap is melt. It's just like a trade term.
So you're telling me that's worth $48,000?
In that neighborhood.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna start melting down wedding bands and stamping X's on it.
If you can get the coral to grow on it.
I got a fish tank.
All right, thanks for coming in, Mel.
My pleasure.
There's probably not a lot of people out there willing to buy this thing, but here's the deal. The people that are willing to spend a lot of money. Trust me, a lot. So now that we know, what do you want to do?
I still want to sell it.
Okay. And how much would you like for it?
Well, if it's worth 48, I want 48.
Yeah, if money talks, we're talking different languages at the moment.
44?
No, because if I put this in an auction, they're going to charge me 20%, okay?
All right.
I mean, I'll go like $32,000 on it.
Come on, you got to give me more than that. It's worth 48.
I'll give you $35,000, and I don't even want to pay you that. Cash money.
All right.
$35,000. Let's go do some paperwork.
Totally pumped to get $35,000. It was a lot more than I expected, so I'm pleased as punch to get that.
What do we got there?
It's a gun from the 15 or 1600s.
This whole lock mechanism right here has got to be the oddest firing system I have ever seen on a gun. You weren't actually going to try and fire this, were you?
Well, yeah, actually I was. I thought it'd be pretty neat.
And a little dangerous.
I came down the pawn shop today to try to sell an old rifle. I got a really good deal on the gun, and I'd probably take a couple hundred for it. I don't have much invested into it.
So you were in the store before?
Yeah, I brought some giant binoculars, real big ones.
All right, so this is a really odd gun. I mean, I've never actually seen one.
It's rare.
You know, I don't even see how guys shot these things. They're so unbalanced, it's unbelievable. I mean, these old guns like this, they put the really long barrels on them just so you could have pressure build up for the projectile as it came out the end.
Yeah.
This whole firing mechanism is bizarre.
To say the least.
So I'm assuming this would go back. Does the trigger work?
No.
So this would fly forward with a piece of flint in it.
Yep. Then it would light this. There'd be a small explosion here and a bigger explosion here.
Back in the 1500s, most guns used a matchlock. When you pulled the trigger, a piece of rope with a cherry on it, like a cigarette, would go into a pan and hit the powder and set the gun off. By the 1600s, people were using flintlocks, which used flint to create sparks to ignite the powder. But this gun's a little bit of a mystery. It's like it's after a matchlock, but before a flintlock. Only thing I know for sure, it's really old. I can tell you this thing, it's in terrible shape.
Yes.
I'm not sure that it'll fire, but trust me, it's not likely.
So did you want to sell it?
Well, that's what I was hoping to do, yeah.
All of my gun guys are out of town right now, and this thing is deeply bizarre.
Yeah, that's why I brought it down. I thought you'd like it.
What do you want to do since we don't have anybody?
How much do you want for it?
I'd like to get $1,000 for the gun. That would be great.
The last time I bought something from this guy, it turned out to be valuable. Even though this gun is a complete mystery to me, it feels like it's worth the gamble. I mean, I'm gonna make you an offer, and it's just, I mean, it's just a guess.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen this lock before.
Yeah.
This thing is in terrible condition, okay? So, 500 bucks. I mean, I'm only making an offer because it's so old.
Deal.
Okay, it's a deal.
Come with me, man.
All right. I did good. I paid $50 for the gun.
This gun is so weird looking, I just had to have it. Now all I have to do is do a little research to figure out if 500 was a good deal or not.
Hey, morning, Rick.
Hey, how's it going, man?
All right. The guys call me down here to appraise guns that they're not quite sure of the value of, and there's a lot of exotic weapons, so it's understandable that they might need some advice.
I need your help on this one. I have no idea. Maybe I did good, maybe I did bad. I have no clue.
This looks like a snap-ons trade gun used in North Africa.
Okay, a what snap gun?
It's a snap-ons. Basically, they were trade guns. People in Europe would take the out-of-date locks and send them to Africa, and they would turn them into these guns because the Africans could use them. It's not like they're the state of the art at all. When they were used by the North Africans, they were already out of date.
The guys in Europe were getting rid of the old guns for the spices and the salt. So.
That's right, that's right. It's basically a gun that was used by African tribes. The Europeans would try to bring them to them and trade them for spices. Africans used these guns for hunting and defense and warring each other in tribes. They were basically the weapon of choice for that period.
How old do you think it is?
Well, the mechanism probably is mid-1700s. Snap-ons precedes a flintlock, and even though it is a flintlock mechanism, it's a little more primitive than your normal flintlock.
Okay.
Flint here strikes this pan, and it casts a spark down in here where the powder is in the pan and sets off the charge inside the gun. Very similar to a regular flintlock, but just much more likely to misfire.
Okay, but it worked.
Exactly. You see them in all different calibers and all different types of construction. Some of them can be worth some money if they went to an important person.
So how much is something like this worth?
This one's in pretty bad condition because it's all rusted and everything. Probably seen a heck of a lot of use. Might have even been laying out in the desert for a while. One in this kind of condition, which I would consider relic condition, probably maybe 400 or 500, but that's
Okay.
really as a wall hanger. How much did you pay for this thing?
I paid $500 for it.
Somebody might want this gun for a decorator, you know, hang on the wall. They're certainly not going to buy it as a collectible.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Rick.
Don't tell my father what I paid
All
for it.
right, I'll do that.
Sometimes it pays to take a risk. And sometimes, well, now I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do with this thing.
So how do you want it, at an angle?
Yeah, they'll look good. Since I'd have to take a loss on selling the African trading gun, I figured I might as well keep it.
What are you doing?
Hanging this gun on my wall. I thought it looked good on the wall in my office.
Why do you want to hang it instead of sell it?
Because I thought it would look good on my wall.
Well, it's worth money, right?
Yeah, it's worth money.
But what's the gun worth?
A little less than I paid for it.
My dad knows how to do a lot of things, but admitting when he's wrong isn't one of them. So you got burned.
I didn't get burned on it, all right? Hey, could you please go back to work? You're distracting me and Travis here. We're trying to figure out where to hang the gun.
Just admit you got burned.
All right, I got screwed with my own money. All right, can you go back to work now?
It's not your money, it's the shop's money.
Don't ever have kids. So what do you got here?
So I got this really old book. It looks like it could be handwritten.
Okay, a really old book. So we have the possibility here this has the whereabouts of the Holy Grail.
Absolutely, yeah. Could be treasure maps, yep. Came to the pawn shop today to sell a really old book I have. I want to sell my book today because I have a baby on the way and I could use the money for diapers. I'm looking to get $500 for the book today. The least I'll take is $300.
All right, do you know anything about it?
I bought it in an estate sale in Ohio, and it looks like it's in a foreign language. That's all I know, really.
Okay. Just from the looks of the binding and the paper, I would say it's probably 1600s.
Wow.
It is handwritten. Early 1400s, Gutenberg came out with the printing press, but the printing press was slow to catch on because it was one of those newfangled gadgets. The movable type printing press is probably one of the most important inventions ever. But printed books really didn't become available right away because there just wasn't that many printing presses. And even more important, literacy rates in Europe were still extremely low. It's really cool just due to the fact that I've never owned a handwritten book. They're rare. Some are worth a lot of money, some are worth next to nothing. This right here, it's handwritten, but the whole book binding is really, really bad condition. We got mold and spotting on all the pages. And usually a book's got a front page on it. I'm thinking some pages are missing. I love buying old books because they're easy to store and display, and there's a large collector market for them. But I have no idea what this language is. So it's gonna be really tough for me to figure out what to offer. What were you looking to get out of it?
You know, I don't know. I think if I can get, you know, $500, $600 out of it, I'd be happy.
My problem is I don't know what the content is. Do you mind if I call someone and get them down here?
Well, actually, I'm kind of in a hurry. What can you offer me right now?
I'll tell you what, I'll give you my best shot at 250 bucks.
I need at least $300. It's, you know, it's from the 1500s. It's lasted this long. It's handwritten.
You're in a hurry. I really believe it's not worth much more than that. It's an old handwritten book, and I'm taking a shot in the dark at 250 bucks.
Okay. I guess
All
I'll
right.
take it. I bought it in a box full of other stuff for $100, so I made out okay.
I have a book that I know nothing about.
Ah, so you came to me. The guys usually call me from the pawn shop because they've got a book. They need an expert to give them a real value. Whoa. What have we got here?
Well, it's a handwritten book. I don't know how old. I'm thinking like 1600s?
You know, normally that'd be a good guess, given that it's manuscript rather than printed, but we've got some odd things going on here. You see there are actually spaces in between these words. That is something that you only see in printed books. Manuscripts, you would just have the words all kind of scrunched together. So what this is doing is it's copying a printed book.
Okay.
This book is really special because so many hours went into creating it, and even after the printing press was created, so that's pretty unusual.
So you know what something like this is worth, or?
The value is really hinging on the content. Unfortunately, I'm not even sure, quite frankly, what language it's in. It could be Old Russian, it could be Church Slavonic, I'm not sure. So I'm actually gonna have to talk to a friend of mine and have him tell me what it's about.
Okay. So later today, next week, next month?
Soon.
Thanks.
Yeah. Rick really surprised me today. He brought this book that I wouldn't have expected. So in order to figure out what this book is, I'm gonna have to take some pictures of it and send it to a friend of mine back east.
So what exactly is it?
We have here a book written in Russian Church Slavonic.
Russian Church Slavonic?
Yes, like Slav, Slavonic.
Okay. So when was it written?
There are papers in here that have watermarks that show where the paper came from. That paper was circulated in Russia only during the first third of the 19th century.
Okay, so early 1800s.
Yeah.
Not nearly as old as I thought it was.
With a manuscript book, you don't expect it to be so late. But that's the fascinating thing about this book is it's manuscript in the world of printed books. The other thing is that it's the excerpts from the writings of St. John Chrysostom.
Okay.
St. John Chrysostom is actually kind of a big deal in the Eastern Christian churches, like Byzantine Church. He was Patriarch of Constantinople. And in fact, his divine liturgy is the main one used in Byzantine liturgy today, and it's one of the oldest liturgies still in use.
Okay.
I wonder about the monk who was tasked to do this. You think about it, they're like, okay, now spend 4 months just sitting there writing this script and losing your sight.
All right, so the big question, what's it worth?
Overall, you're looking at a value of about $1,500.
Well, it works out for me because I only paid $250 for it.
Yeah, you did well. I think Rick's really happy about the $1,500 value because he purchased it for so much less. He got a good deal in this case.
Now all I have to do is figure out who's going to buy a book in Russian Church
Slavonic.
Slavonic. I'm going to have to write that down.
I'll send you a memo.
You're the best.
Thanks.
I'm glad I went with my gut and bought this thing. It might take a little while to find a buyer, but when I do, it's going to be a payday.
Hey,
Adam, what's up?
Good, nice to see you again. I brought something right up your alley.
What's that?
It's a book on the military and warfare from the time of Queen Elizabeth I. It's called The Instructions for the Wars, and it was printed in 1589. It's actually one of the first military field manuals for the English, and it's also got a second book inside, which is the first book on fortification.
Fornication?
Fortification.
Okay.
This book was printed in 1589 during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. It's one of the first English military manuals and one of the first books on fortification. I want to sell the book because I studied it, I enjoyed it, and I have to pass it on to the next person. I'm asking $14,000 for the book today.
So where did you find this thing?
I bought this from an important private collection in America. I was very excited to find it because it's a very rare book. It's actually, as far as I can tell, the first complete copy of the book.
And it's in English?
It is in English, printed in London in 1589. The man who translated the first of these books, it was actually translated from French into English. His name was Paul Ive, and he was actually both a military engineer, but he was also a spy under the English Secret Service, under the Grand Spy Master of Elizabeth I.
You know, Queen Elizabeth, she doesn't really get the credit she really deserves, probably because she was, a woman. She was literally one of the greatest leaders of the past 1,000 years. By the time Queen Elizabeth died, it was an extremely powerful nation. It was not someone to be messed with.
It has some very wonderful woodcuts in it that show the formations of the cavalry and what's necessary for an army. And then there's another diagram here that shows the fortifications, or an example of how you would build a fortification, to ward off your enemies.
This is pretty amazing. This book was printed in the 1500s and is in the English language, which makes it kind of rare, but rare doesn't always mean money. This is really cool. How much do you want for this thing?
I'm going to ask $14,000 for it.
Okay. You've met Rebecca a million times.
Sure.
She's my book person, and let me have her come down and look at it.
Yeah, I think she'll be excited by it. Sounds great.
All right, hang out for a few minutes. Be right back.
I'm really excited that they're bringing in Rebecca today. She's sort of in the same field as me, and I know she's going to be really excited to see a book from this period in that condition.
I know there's something special here because it's a book on military. It's Elizabethan.
This is a contemporary vellum binding. This is very exciting.
Okay.
So Elizabethan era, one of the great sort of rivals of Shakespeare was Kit Marlowe. And Marlowe wrote one play, it was very famous, successful, called Handwritten. And he actually quotes almost verbatim some passages from this Practice of Fortification book. Let me show you something. Practice of Fortification, imprinted 1589. Most scholars believe that Tamerlane was completed by 1588 at the latest.
You mean Marlowe might have copied from this, or?
He absolutely used passages from that book.
That's very cool.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, that is.
One of the reasons I love this book is because it has this interesting connection to Kit Marlowe. People thought maybe he was actually a spy, and this book connects him to another known spy, which is Paul Ive, because he took portions of Paul Ive's manuscript and incorporated them into a play. Interesting connection. I am really excited to see these plates here. It's super unusual to see them with these folding plates intact. There aren't really any comps for this, okay? That's the tricky thing about it.
Okay. What do you think it's worth?
Looking at this, this has plates, and this has that awesome Marlowe connection. So I would place it around $12,000.
All right, you're the best.
I know.
I second that. Thanks so much.
I think that it would be a great book to have in the shop. It really strikes someone as a rare book. This is what people think of when they think of an old, valuable, important book.
All right, so I'm definitely not going to give you 14 grand.
Okay. You know, she said it's extremely rare.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you 8 grand for it.
I just think it has a lot of appeal. It's an exciting book.
It is an exciting book.
What's the absolute best? Will you come up at all?
I'll go 8,500 bucks. You know, I really want the book, but...
Okay, I'll give you my best, but you got to come up a little. I'm coming way down. 9 grand.
I'll go 86.
It's so hard to give this one up for that. I'll go for it. I'll bring you some more stuff.
Okay, cool. Meet you right over there, man.
I'm settling on $8,600. I don't really want to sell it for that, but I'm going to use the $8,600 to go reinvest in other things and that I can hopefully learn about and possibly sell.
Hey, can I help you?
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good.
All right, all right.
What do you got here?
Man, I got a couple swords, 3 swords and a katana. I'm trying to get rid of them. I just can't put them on the mantle no more. They just laying around.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a wife or a girlfriend, but I'm sure she doesn't want to look at this up on the mantle all day.
Absolutely. I'm at the pawn shop because I want to sell these samurai swords I have today. I had them for 20 years. You know, they kind of raggedy a little bit, but the blades are really sharp. They collecting dust.
Where'd you get them?
It was my ex-father-in-law. He said he was over in Japan. He picked them up, and he gave them to me as a gift. So I'm thinking they might be worth something now.
Right after World War II, the United States, they were helping to rebuild Japan. And during that time period, they confiscated a lot of stuff like this. And then they would put these tags on them in hopes that they would be returned later. But instead of returning them, a lot of soldiers decided, you know what? I would like to take this home as a keepsake. These could have been in someone's family for, 100+ years. It's hard to tell because usually the mark will be underneath the handle. That's not something that I'm qualified to do, is take the handle off and look at the mark, because I wouldn't want to ruin this,
Right.
A good thing I do see is it seems to be the right sheath,
Mm-hmm.
It butts up right against their knives and it fits really snug.
Gotcha.
A lot of times what you'll see is these will become so old that the sheath will break down completely and someone will find just a makeshift sheath to put the blade in, and it won't fit like that. As you can see, it's cracked all the way down. It's peeling, and the same with this one. Even though they're in really bad condition, it is cool to have the original sheath, you know. What are you looking to do with them?
Well, I'm about to enter a barbecue competition. Entry fee is kind of high, and then I need to buy my product.
Well, I'll let you barbecue at my house for free anytime.
Anytime?
I'm thinking Rick might want me to call in an expert before possibly buying these swords, but this man has a barbecue competition to get to. I ain't one to stand between a man and his grill. And like a samurai, I must act swiftly before this guy walks out the door.
How about 6,000?
I don't doubt that they're worth close to that value. Samurai swords are highly collectible, but my problem is I gotta resell them and I gotta make a little profit too. If you wanna sell them today, right now, I can do 34.
4,000. Out the door.
Let's split the difference. I'll go 37.
38.50.
You know, I'd hate to see him walk for $150. I think I'll take a chance with these. I can do the 38.50. Hopefully my boss doesn't cut my head off.
I hope it, not with these swords. 38.50, I'm gonna buy some briskets, pork, and some ribs and some chicken, and I'm gonna slice up this competition.
Earlier, Chum spent $4,000 on 3 samurai swords because he thinks he's a samurai expert. So I'm calling in Mike, who actually does know something about samurai swords, and I'm gonna find out how much money I lost.
Hey, just the man I'm waiting to see. Why don't you shed some light on these for old Ricky over here?
Rick, you don't look very happy.
Yeah, apparently I don't need you anymore because Chum knows everything there is to know about swords now.
Well, I told you to call me if you ever needed some help.
It was basically make a deal on these swords and get them now or don't get them. The guy was in a hurry. He had to get off to a barbecue.
So, can you tell me about these things? Or should I ask you?
Want me to look?
Yeah, check them out.
I'm gonna take the handle off so we can see if it's signed or not.
Okay.
Yeah, this one is very tight, so it obviously hasn't been off for a long, long time, which is a good sign. And it has a signature. So generally, when you're looking at swords to buy, you always want to check the tang to see if it's signed, to see if anybody famous made the sword. This title with this type of file marks belongs to a swordsmith known as Naganobu.
It's good news so far.
It is good news because he's actually well known and he's very famous. Okay, so the blade is in good condition. There's no flaws. It has one small nick. So this is actually a very decent sword.
So is it considered a sword being that short, or is it a knife?
Generally, it's called a dagger. It's
okay.
Kotanto. It qualifies as a dagger, but it's still a sword in a sense. So we'll move on to the next piece.
Kind of excited to see what you have to say about this one.
So believe it or not, the entire sword is held together by this one bamboo pig, all through battle.
I remember you had taught me that last time you came here. Let's see if there's any markings on this one.
Well, you're lucky on this one too. It's actually signed. So it's full signature here, and the sword is got some good age to it.
Well, how old is that one?
This sword dates from the late 14, early 1500s.
Oh. Stretch a little bit. Oh, I've been making some good moves.
May I?
Please. What a beauty.
Well, the pin's missing, so that's the traditional way of removing the handle from the hilt. Oh, it's signed.
Another signature?
This sword is signed Soshuju Akihiro. He's one of the most famous makers of Japanese sword history. You know, people spend years and years and years looking for the holy grail of Japanese swords, worth up to $3 or $4 million.
I like where this is going, Rick.
Unfortunately, the signature appears to be a forgery.
So when was it forged? Like maybe 100 years ago, 200 years ago?
No, the sword is actually old. It's just that it was so popular to have such a famous name given to lords and other lords that they actually made forgeries on other blades that were available from the same time period. So this blade is actually old. It is from like the early 1400s.
What are they worth?
Well, as a package, you're looking at about $13,000 for all three.
I'm not going to congratulate you. It doesn't take skill to win in a slot machine.
If you ever need my help, I'm there for you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I was talking to him, not you.
Chum actually got lucky and he did well. It's a roll of the dice when you're buying swords. Finding 3 older blades is very rare. Finding 3 older blades that are signed is extremely lucky.
I just made you $9 grand. You can pay me with a free lunch today.
Will you put these away?
You really want me touching them? They're worth $13,000.
Hey, how you doing? Hello. I would just like to see what you could offer me for this candle holder. No, it's actually a replica of a signal cannon from Europe. Looks like a beer mug with the smallest hole ever. I'm coming into the pawn shop today to try to sell my signal cannon. I purchased this in Europe about 10 years ago. I thought it was really cool. I'm just trying to get rid of some stuff, so I'm gonna take it in the pawn shop and give it a shot. Rick, you got the strangest beer mug ever I need you to look at.
Okay. What do we have here?
Replica of signal cannon that I purchased just outside of London about 10 years ago.
Oh, it was in an antique shop?
It was at an antique shop, yes.
These signal cannons were used to signal the port authority for someone to come out and inspect a ship when it just comes into harbor. I've read about them, but not one has ever come in the store.
It's got a weird colored brass and a really old-looking patina on it. It looks pretty old to me. You sure it's a replica?
I purchased it at an antique shop, claiming it was a replica.
One thing you have to understand, a replica or reproduction is not a fake, and they can be worth a lot of money. I'm not even sure it's a replica. For as old as it looks, it may be the real thing.
It looks like it's been fired.
The fact that this cannon looks like it's been fired really makes me question whether or not this thing is a replica. Because why would someone spend the time, money, and energy on something that's never intended to be used? Before I put an offer on it, I really need someone to look at it. So let me get an expert in here, and we'll see if we can make a deal.
Sounds good.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Rick. Now, I'm an expert in antique arms and armor, and I've been collecting since I was 10, and I've been dealing professionally for over 20 years. Rick, what are your concerns?
Oh, I thought it might be real. I don't know. I never seen one of the damn things before.
This is what they call a signal cannon, but more commonly known in the antique arms and armor circles as a thunder mug. Signal cannons like this were primarily used from the 16th century through the 18th century. And they were used on shipboard primarily for signaling into harbor. When a ship comes in, you know, you want to make a loud report so they can send an inspection crew out, make sure you're not carrying the plague. If you can imagine with the plague, everybody was afraid. I mean, it could wipe out whole villages, whole seaports. So it was very, very important to have these ships inspected.
When I think of a cannon, you never really think of something that small. You know what I mean?
This was really designed to save on powder because, you know, you wouldn't want to waste all that powder on a big cannon to make the same kind of noise. Unfortunately, there's no markings on it to really give you exactly where it came from, but you can tell by the form that it's, you know, European, most likely France, England. It does have a wonderful patina, especially these colors in here, the greens and the reds. That shows, you know, and it's indicative of age. Also, this is bronze and kind of a mixture between bronze and brass, which is definitely of that period. This is not a reproduction. It's real.
Okay.
From the 16th century through the 18th century. From all my experience, I can tell from the shape and the form that this is definitely authentic to the period.
What do you think it's worth?
You know, realistically, in today's market, I would say 600 to 800.
Okay. Thanks for coming in, Sean.
Absolutely, anytime.
I see this all the time. Most people don't know what they have. It just goes to show you got to do your research and you got to know what you have before you sell it.
So what do you want for it?
Well, after listening to him, I feel it's worth some pretty good value.
Okay. How much you feel it's worth?
I feel around $400.
I'll give you $300 for it.
Can't you do better than that?
I really don't want to. My only problem with this thing is if I sit it on the shelf, How many people are going to know what it is?
Well, it's such a unique item. How about 350?
Yeah, I'll do 350.
Sounds like a good deal.
Okay, shall we go write them up? I'm happy I was able to buy the Thunder Mug. Now all I have to do is take it to the desert and test it. Because not only will it be worth more if it fires, but it's so much easier to sell an item if you know everything about it. So Sean, how does this thing work?
The first thing that they would want to do back in the day is to make sure that the bore was clear, making sure that it's not already loaded and that they load it again, because that in turn could cause the thing to blow up. The second thing, you'd put your powder charge in. This is your standard slow burning cannon fuse. They did not have this during the day. Back then they would have what they call linstock, which was just a long wood pole that would have a piece of forged iron on the end, and it would have a burning wick. And they would stand from a distance once this was loaded, touch it at the touch hole here, igniting the priming powder, thus then igniting the main charge, boom.
Okay, well, let's make a big bang.
We're gonna really need to respect it and stand back a bit. The Thunder Mug doesn't have the intricate parts that a pistol or musket of the period would have, so this is definitely going to fire. All right, fire in the hole.
Ooh.
Damn, that was a loud boom.
I told you so.
I can't believe how loud this thing was. If you pulled it in a harbor and shot this thing off, everyone knew you arrived.